I was taken by alien women. Now they fight to win the right to bear my child. Elias had always believed space was quiet, endless, cold, and empty. That belief shattered the moment the lights on his survey ship died all at once. Alarms should have sounded. They did not. The engines should have failed slowly. They did not. One moment Elias was checking mineral scans near a dead star, and the next moment the stars outside the window folded inward like water pulled into a drain. He never felt the impact. When consciousness returned, it came in pieces. Sound arrived first, a low hum that felt alive. Then smell, sharp and clean, nothing like metal or oil. When he opened his eyes, the ceiling above him was not steel. It was smooth, curved, and faintly glowing like moonlight trapped under glass. Elias tried to sit up. A gentle force pressed him back down. He was lying on a wide platform, softer than any medical bed he knew. His arms were free, his legs free, but invisible pressure held him still. Panic rose in his chest. This is not human, he thought. Shapes moved at the edge of his vision. Tall figures stepped closer, their footsteps silent. They were women, or close enough that his mind labeled them that way without effort. They stood upright, with long limbs and skin in shades of blue, silver, and deep violet. Their eyes were large and bright, reflecting light like polished stone. They wore flowing garments instead of armor. Symbols shimmered along the fabric, changing shape as they moved. One of them spoke. Her voice was calm, musical, and clear. "He is awake." Another answered, sharper, colder. "About time. The human mind resists sedation." Elias swallowed. His throat was dry, but his voice worked. "Where am I?" The first woman stepped closer. She was tall, with pale skin and eyes the color of frost. "You are safe. You are aboard the Unity vessel." "I didn't give permission to be here," Elias said. The cold-eyed woman tilted her head. "Permission was not required." Anger pushed through fear. "You abducted me." A third woman laughed softly. Her skin was dark blue, almost black, and her eyes glowed faint gold. "Your species calls it abduction. We call it preservation." Elias struggled against the invisible force again. It did not tighten, but it did not release him either. "Let me go," he said. "Not yet," the first woman replied. "Your body must stabilize." "From what?" "From crossing thresholds your kind was never meant to cross unaided." That answer did not comfort him. He took a slow breath, forcing himself to think. Panic would not help. He scanned the room again. There were no visible weapons, no restraints he could see, just light, smooth surfaces and the quiet presence of these alien women watching him like scientists observing a rare animal. "How many of you are there?" he asked. The dark-skinned woman smiled. "Enough to change the fate of many worlds." The pressure on his body faded. Elias sat up slowly, ready to bolt if he could. His muscles felt weak but responsive. "Why me?" he asked. The women exchanged looks. The cold-eyed one stepped forward again. "Because you are human," she said, "and because your kind survives where others fail." Elias frowned. "We're not special." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You are wrong." She gestured, and the air between them shimmered. Images appeared, floating like ghosts. Worlds burned under dying suns. Cities stood empty. Alien children lay still, surrounded by elders who watched with hollow eyes. "Our species are ending," she said. "Not by war, not by disaster, by silence." The images shifted to twisting strands of light breaking apart. "Our genetics are collapsing. We can no longer adapt." The projection changed again. Now it showed humans, colonists on frozen moons, engineers repairing ships in vacuum, children born under strange skies. "Your species adapts quickly," she continued. "Your biology is chaotic, resilient, full of errors that somehow become strength." Elias felt cold. "You brought me here to study me?" The dark-skinned woman shook her head. "Study was done long ago." The first woman spoke again, her tone softer. "You were brought here because you are compatible." Silence filled the room. Elias stared at her. "Compatible with what?" The cold-eyed woman answered without hesitation. "With us." Understanding hit him like a blow. "No," he said immediately. "Absolutely not." "You misunderstand," the first woman said. "This is not about desire. This is about survival." "I don't care," Elias said. "You don't get to decide that for me." A new voice cut in, low and commanding. "You do not decide either." Another woman entered the room. She was taller than the rest, her presence heavy. Her skin was a deep crimson and faint markings glowed along her neck and arms. "I am Commander Rail," she said, "and your existence has already changed the balance of power." Elias felt a chill. "What balance?" Rail's lips curved into something that was not a smile. "Every faction aboard this vessel wants the same thing," the dark-skinned woman sighed. "Must you be so direct?" "Yes," Rail replied. "He must understand the danger." She looked at Elias. "You are not just valuable, you are contested." Elias' heart raced. "Contested by who?" Rail spread her hand. The walls shifted, opening into a wide chamber beyond. Elias gasped. The vessel was massive. Platforms and towers stretched into the distance, filled with movement. Thousands of alien women looked down toward him from balconies and walkways. Their eyes were fixed on him. Some faces held hope, others held hunger. A few held open hostility. A deep murmur filled the chamber. "The right to carry human offspring," Rael said, her voice echoing, "will decide the future of our people." Elias backed away until the platform edge pressed against his legs. "I'm not a prize." "To them you are," Rael said. A sharp voice rang out from above. "He belongs to no single faction." Another answered. "Without control, he is a threat." A third shouted, "He must be protected at all costs." The argument spread like fire. The chamber filled with raised voices in alien tongues, their words translated instantly in Elias' mind by unseen systems. Fear twisted in his chest. This was bigger than him, much bigger. The first woman, whose name he still did not know, stepped beside him. "Listen to me," she said quietly. "There are those who want to shield you, and those who want to own you." "Is there anyone who wants to send me home?" Elias asked. She hesitated. Rael answered for her. "Your homeworld is far, and many would destroy you before letting that happen." The chamber lights suddenly flashed red. A sharp tone echoed through the vessel. "Alert," a mechanical voice announced. "Unidentified energy surge detected." Rael turned sharply. "Source?" "External," the voice replied. "Another fleet." The murmuring turned to alarm. Rael smiled, slow and dangerous. "It seems the universe has learned of our miracle." Elias felt dread settle deep in his bones. "Another fleet of who?" Rael looked down at him. "Those who believe humans should not exist at all." The vessel shuddered. Somewhere far away, weapons powered up. The first woman placed a hand on Elias' shoulder. Her touch was warm, steady. "Your survival," she said softly, "now decides more than our future." Elias looked out at the arguing aliens, the looming war, and the stars beyond the vessel's walls. He had been taken from his life, his world, and everything he knew. And now, without choice, he had become the center of a war that had not yet begun. The vessel drifted through dark space, its massive form silent from the outside, but inside it was filled with tension that never slept. Elias was no longer kept in the open chamber. After the alert, he had been moved quickly through glowing corridors into a secured living area. The room was large, clean, and strangely calm. Soft light flowed from the walls. There were no doors he could see, yet he knew he was contained. He stood near a wide window that looked into space. Stars slid past slowly, distant and cold. Somewhere out there was Earth. Somewhere out there was everything he had lost in a single moment. Behind him, the air shifted. "You should rest." Elias turned. The woman who spoke was the same one who had first told him he was safe. Her name, he had learned, was Lyra. She carried herself differently from the others, less force, more care. "I don't feel safe," Elias said. Lyra nodded. "That is understandable." "Are we under attack?" he asked. "Not yet," she replied, "but soon." Elias let out a slow breath. "Because of me." Lyra did not deny it. "Yes," He turned back to the stars. I never asked for this. No one ever asks to be born important, she said quietly. Elias almost laughed. Important is one word for it. Lyra stepped closer but did not touch him. You should know what is happening, all of it. Then tell me, he said. No more half answers. Lyra lifted her hand and the space beside them filled with light again. Images formed, clearer than before. Symbols, faces, ships. This vessel is not ruled by one people, she said. It is an alliance of 5 major factions. Each one descends from a different world. Each one is dying in its own way. The image shifted to show 5 distinct groups of alien women. The first believe in protection, Lyra continued. They want to keep you hidden, safe, untouched by politics. A second group appeared, their posture rigid, eyes sharp. The second believe in control. They want to decide everything, where you live, who you speak to, what future you create. A third group appeared, their expressions intense. The third see you as a weapon. They believe human offspring could dominate others. Elias clenched his jaw. A fourth faction believes you are dangerous, Lyra went on. They want you removed before you change anything. And the fifth, Elias asked. Lyra hesitated. The fifth believes choice matters. That you must decide your own path. Elias looked at her. And you? I belong to the fifth, she said. He studied her face, searching for deception. He found none. So why hasn't anyone asked me what I want? Because fear speaks louder than reason, Lyra said. And because others are moving faster than we can stop them. As if summoned by her words, the room darkened slightly. Another presence entered. Commander Rael stepped in without warning. Her expression was hard, her eyes sharp with purpose. The council is breaking apart, Rael said. Arguing will not save us. Lyra faced her calmly. Threats will not either. Rael looked at Elias. Human, you must understand the truth. You are not simply rare, you are unstable. Meaning what? Elias asked. Meaning your existence changes probability, Rael replied. Already, 3 external powers have detected this vessel's altered energy signature. They know something valuable is here. Elias felt his stomach drop. They're coming because of me. Yes, Rael said. And they will not negotiate. Lyra crossed her arms. Which is why we must protect him. Rael shook her head. Protection without control is weakness. Elias stepped forward before either could continue. Enough. I'm done being talked about like I'm not here. Both women turned to him. You say I'm important, Elias said. Then treat me like it. Tell me what you really want. Rael met his gaze. I want survival at any cost. Lyra spoke next. I want a future that does not begin with force. Elias nodded slowly. Then here's what I want. I want to live and I want to go home. Rael let out a short, humorless sound. Home may no longer be an option. Why? Elias demanded. Rael gestured again and a new image appeared. A distant world, blue and green but scarred. Satellites burned. Fleets hovered near orbit. That is your system, Rael said. Others have already noticed humanity. Elias stared in shock. That's impossible. We barely travel beyond. Beyond what you know, Rael interrupted. Your signal was traced. Your genetics confirmed. You have been seen. Lyra's voice softened. Your people are not alone anymore. The weight of it crushed him. Even if he escaped, Earth might not be safe. A sudden jolt ran through the vessel. Lights flickered. Warning, the mechanical voice announced. Foreign craft entering weapon range. Rael's posture straightened instantly. Positions. She turned to Elias. You will remain here. No, Elias said without thinking. Rael paused. Explain. You said I change probability, Elias said. Then let me help. Lyra looked at him sharply. You are not a soldier. I'm an engineer, Elias replied. And I'm human. We're good at fixing things under pressure. Rael studied him for a long moment. If you leave this room, you become a target. I already am, Elias said. Another jolt shook the vessel, stronger this time. Somewhere far away, something exploded. Rael gave a slow nod. Very well, but understand this. If you walk this path, there is no going back. Elias met her eyes. There already was. The invisible wall at the room's edge faded. For the first time since his capture, Elias felt truly free to move. Lyra placed a small device into his hand. "This will translate systems. Stay close to me." As they moved through the corridors, alarms echoed around them. Alien women rushed past, some armored, some terrified. Elias saw fear on faces that had seemed powerful before. It surprised him. The corridor opened into a vast control chamber. A massive window showed space beyond. Strange ships emerged from the darkness, angular and black like wounds in the stars. Rail stepped forward, issuing commands. Energy surged through the vessel. "Those ships," Elias said quietly, "they're not here to talk." "No," Lyra said. "They believe evolution must be controlled." The first blast struck the vessel's shields. The impact threw Elias to the floor. As he pushed himself up, his eyes caught something strange on one of the displays. A pattern, a flaw. "Wait," he said. "They're weapons." "They're synchronized." Rail turned. Meaning if you disrupt the timing, they'll hit each other," Elias said. "Your systems are too rigid. You need chaos." Rail stared at him. "You are certain?" "No," Elias admitted. "But humans survive by trying anyway." Another blast rocked the ship. Rail made a decision. "Do it." Elias' fingers flew over alien controls, guided by instinct and quick learning. He rerouted power, altered delays, introduced random shifts. Outside, the enemy fleet faltered. Beams crossed at the wrong moments. One ship clipped another, then another. The control chamber filled with stunned silence. Lyra looked at Elias with something new in her eyes, respect. Rail's lips curved slightly. "Perhaps," she said, "you are more than a prize." Before Elias could respond, a sharp warning flashed. "Internal breach detected," the voice announced. "Location unknown." Lyra's expression darkened. "Someone is trying to take you." Rail drew closer to Elias. "This," she said, "is what I warned you about." The lights dimmed. Footsteps echoed from multiple directions, and Elias realized the real fight was not outside the vessel. It was already inside. The lights did not go out completely, but they dimmed enough to turn the corridors into long shadows. Elias moved fast, his heart pounding. Lyra stayed close on his left, while Commander Rail walked ahead, her steps steady and sure. Behind them, distant alarms echoed like warning cries. "Who breached us?" Elias asked. Rail did not slow. "One of our own." Lyra's jaw tightened. "Which faction?" Rail's voice was cold. "The ones who believe the future must be forced." The corridor split into three paths. Rail stopped and raised her hand. A glowing map appeared in the air, shifting and updating. "They are not here to kill you," Rail said. "Not yet." "That's supposed to make me feel better," Elias replied. "No," Rail said. "It is meant to make you alert." A sudden sound echoed behind them. Metal bending, energy crackling. Lyra grabbed Elias' arm. "They are close." Rail tapped a command. A hidden wall slid open, revealing a narrow passage. Inside, now. They entered just as a blast struck where they had stood. The passage sealed behind them. The space was tight, filled with cables and pulsing light. The vessel's inner systems surrounded them, alive with power. Elias steadied his breathing. "If they catch me, what happens?" Lyra did not answer right away. "You will lose your voice." Rail spoke instead. "They will decide everything for you, your future, your children, your purpose." Elias clenched his fists. "That's not happening." The passage opened into a hidden chamber. Inside were several alien women, armed and tense. They turned as Rail entered, relief crossing their faces. "We are secure for now," one said. Rail nodded. "For now is not enough." Lyra turned to Elias. "You must understand something. Your presence has already changed us." "How?" Elias asked. "Before you," Lyra said, "we accepted decline, slow extinction. Now we fight each other instead of fate." "That's not a good thing," Elias said. "No," Lyra agreed. "But it is a beginning." The chamber shook slightly. A low vibration ran through the floor. Rail looked at one of the guards. "Status." "Enemy fleet retreating," she replied, "but internal conflict spreading. Rael exhaled slowly. As expected. Elias frowned. You knew this would happen. Yes, Rael said. That is why I wanted control. Lyra turned sharply. And that is why control will destroy us. Their eyes locked. The tension between them felt heavier than the alarms. Elias stepped between them. Stop, both of you. They looked at him, surprised. You keep saying I'm important, Elias said. Then listen. I'm not your solution if you tear yourselves apart. Rael studied him. What do you suggest? Elias thought fast. You said some want to protect me, some want to control me, some want me gone. What if none of them get what they want? Lyra tilted her head. Explain. I stop being a prize, Elias said. I become a partner. Silence filled the chamber. Rael laughed softly. You assume they will accept that. They don't have to, Elias replied. They just have to need me more alive and free than captured. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. You would speak to the council. Yes, Elias said, all of them together. Rael shook her head. That would paint a target on you. There already is one, Elias said. At least this way I control where it points. Another tremor ran through the ship, this one stronger. Internal fighting escalating, a guard reported. Two factions have engaged near the lower sectors. Lyra's voice trembled with anger. They are killing each other. Rael turned back to Elias. If you do this, there is no protection left. Elias met her gaze. Humans survive by standing up when we're scared. Rael was silent for a long moment, then she nodded once. Prepare the central hall. Lyra looked at Elias. Once you speak, there is no silence anymore. I know, Elias said. That's the point. They moved quickly. The vessel felt different now. Not calm, not unified. It felt like a city on the edge of collapse. As they approached the central hall, Elias could hear voices even through the walls, shouting, arguing, fear and rage mixed together. The doors opened. The hall was full. Hundreds of alien women stood in groups, separated by color, markings, and armor. Energy weapons were drawn. The air felt ready to break. When Elias stepped inside, the noise faltered. Whispers spread. The human. He walked forward, every step heavy. Lyra stayed behind him. Rael stood to his side, her presence a warning. A voice rang out. He should not be here. Another shouted, he belongs to us. A third yelled, he is the reason we bleed. Elias raised his hands. His heart hammered, but his voice was clear. Stop. The word echoed louder than he expected. I didn't come here by choice, Elias said. I was taken, just like your futures were taken by things you couldn't control. Anger stirred in the crowd. You think you understand us? Someone shouted. No, Elias said. But I understand fear. The hall quieted slightly. Where I come from, Elias continued, we fight over land, power, and ideas. We've nearly destroyed ourselves more times than I can count, but we're still here. He looked around, meeting their eyes one by one. You see me as hope, he said, or as a tool, or as a threat, but I am not your answer if you strip away my will. Murmurs spread. One armored woman stepped forward. Your will does not matter, survival does. Elias nodded. Then listen carefully. If you force me, you lose what makes me valuable. Rael glanced at him sharply. You want my children to save you, Elias said, but survival isn't just blood, it's choice, adaptation, freedom. Lyra felt her breath catch. You are dying because you stopped changing, Elias said. I survive because my species never stops. Silence fell. A new voice cut through it, calm, dangerous, pretty words. A woman stepped forward from the shadows. Her eyes were sharp, calculating. You would gamble our future on ideals, she asked. I would gamble it on partnership, Elias replied, or I walk away. Gasps rippled through the hall. You cannot leave, the woman said. Watch me, Elias said. Rael turned to him. You said you wanted to live. I do, Elias replied, on my terms. The woman smiled thinly. You think you have leverage. I know I do, Elias said, because you haven't killed me yet. The hall erupted into shouting again. Suddenly, a blast struck the ceiling. Debris fell, screams echoed. External fire, someone shouted. The enemy fleet had returned. Rael cursed under her breath. They timed this perfectly. The woman from the shadows laughed softly. See, chaos follows him. Elias felt fear twist inside him, but he forced himself to stand tall. Then let me face it, he said. With you, not beneath you. Another explosion shook the hall. Lights flickered wildly. Lyra stepped forward, her voice breaking through the noise. If we fight each other now, we die. Some weapons lowered, others stayed raised. Elias took one more step forward. Give me one chance. If I fail, do whatever you want with me. The hall went still. Rael looked around. Slowly she raised her hand. Enough, she commanded. Reluctantly the factions paused. Rael turned to Elias. One chance, she said. That is all you get. Before Elias could respond, the floor beneath them trembled violently. Warning, the mechanical voice announced. Primary shield failure imminent. The enemy fleet filled the window above them, closer than ever. Elias stared up at the ships, his mind racing. He had stopped being a captive. He had stopped being a prize. Now, whether he wanted it or not, he was a leader standing at the edge of extinction. And if he failed, there would be no future left for anyone to fight over. The vessel shook hard enough to throw many to the floor. Lights flashed from white to red, then dimmed again. The sound of metal groaning spread through the hall like a warning cry. Elias struggled to stay on his feet. Around him, alien women grabbed railings, walls, each other. Fear was no longer hidden. It was open on every face. Primary shields failing, the mechanical voice repeated. Impact in 90 seconds. Rail moved first. All combat units, defensive positions. Engineering teams, reroute everything you can to the inner barrier. Some obeyed at once. Others hesitated, looking at Elias. That hesitation told him everything. They were waiting for him. Elias swallowed and stepped forward again. Listen to me, he said, raising his voice. Your shields are strong but predictable. A few heads turned. The enemy already studied you, Elias continued. They know your patterns, that's why they came back now. Rael looked at him sharply. Then speak faster. Elias nodded. Your systems try to be perfect, balanced, ordered, that's the problem. Lyra moved closer to him. What are you saying? I'm saying you fight like machines, Elias replied. They expect that. Humans don't. Another violent tremor hit. A section of the ceiling cracked, showering sparks. 90 seconds, someone whispered. Elias closed his eyes for half a second and thought of Earth, of messy cities, of broken systems held together by hope and stubbornness. Then he opened his eyes. Give me access to your core control. The hall erupted again. That is impossible, one voice shouted. He will cripple us, another cried. Rael raised her hand. Silence, she looked at Elias. If I give you this, you could destroy us. Yes, Elias said honestly, or save you. Rael studied him, searching for fear, greed, ambition. She found none of those things, only resolve. She nodded once. Do it. The floor beneath Elias shifted. A platform rose smoothly, lifting him toward a glowing structure at the center of the hall. Light wrapped around him, cold and alive. Data flooded his vision. Systems beyond anything human, yet strangely familiar. Energy flow, weapon timing, shield harmonics. 60 seconds, the voice warned. Elias' hands moved, guided by instinct and quick learning. He did not try to improve their systems. He broke them. He introduced delays, random gaps, power surges that made no sense. What is he doing? Someone shouted. Sabotaging us, another cried. Lyra watched, her heart pounding. Trust him, she said, though fear twisted inside her. Outside, the enemy fleet fired again. The beam struck the weakened shield and split, sliding along unstable energy instead of breaking through. It bent, curved. Then it hit another enemy ship. A massive explosion lit the stars. Gasps filled the hall. Elias did not stop. Sweat ran down his face. His breathing grew heavy. 30 seconds, the voice announced. The enemy fleet adjusted, trying to correct. But chaos spread faster than order. Enemy weapons collided. Targeting failed. Two ships crashed into each other, tearing apart in silence. They're hurting themselves, someone whispered. Rael's eyes widened slightly. He turned our weakness into a weapon. Elias gritted his teeth, his vision blurred. The system resisted him now, trying to correct the damage. No, he muttered. Stay broken. The final enemy volley fired. It never landed. The fleet pulled back, scattered and burning. Silence fell over the hall, then cheers erupted. Loud, uncontrolled, raw, some laughed, some cried, some fell to their knees. Elias collapsed as the platform lowered him back to the floor. Lyra caught him before he hit the ground. You did it, she said, her voice shaking. Elias barely smiled. We did. Rael stepped forward. The hall grew quiet again. The enemy has retreated, she said. But they will return. She turned to the gathered factions. And now we face ourselves. The joy faded quickly. Weapons lowered, but not all the way. Rael looked at Elias. You saved us. That gives you power whether you want it or not. Elias leaned against Lyra, exhausted. I don't want power. Then you are the most dangerous kind, Rael said. A voice spoke from the crowd. He cannot be allowed to leave. Another answered, he must be protected. A third said quietly, he must be free. The hall split again, not by weapons but by belief. Elias straightened, forcing himself to stand without support. Stop, he said. The word carried weight now. You saw what happened, Elias said. When you trusted me, when you worked together. Silence answered him. If you cage me, he continued, you will fight over me forever. If you kill me, you return to slow death. If you let me choose, you gain something new. What? Someone asked. A future built together, Elias said. Not owned, not forced. Rael folded her arms. And if we refuse, Elias met her gaze. Then I leave. Lyra's breath caught. Elias? I won't stay in a place that turns hope into chains, Elias said. Rael looked around the hall. Faces stared back at her, some fearful, some angry, some inspired. For the first time she hesitated. Before she could speak, alarms blared again. Emergency, the mechanical voice announced. Escape pods activated in Sector 9, Rael spun. Who activated them? A cold voice echoed through the hall. I did. The woman from the shadows stepped forward again. Her expression was calm, satisfied. You think too small, she said. While you argue, I secure the future. Behind her, a screen lit up. It showed a small transport ship detaching from the vessel. Inside it, Elias saw a chilling sight. Human cryopods, dozens of them. Elias' blood ran cold. Where did you get those? The woman smiled. From your world, quietly. Lyra stared in horror. You abducted more humans. Of course, the woman replied. One is fragile, many are insurance. Rael's voice dropped to a growl. You violated every accord. I ensured survival, the woman said, and I will leave with them with or without your approval. The transport ship powered up. Elias moved without thinking. He ran toward the control platform again. Stop her, someone shouted. Rael turned, torn between command and shock. Elias reached the controls, his fingers flying despite his exhaustion. Don't, the woman warned. You'll kill them. Elias froze for half a second. Then he made a choice. He rerouted power not to weapons but to guidance. He locked the transport's engines, forcing it to drift instead of jump. The woman screamed in rage. You idiot, the enemy fleet will see it. So will we, Elias said, and we'll protect them. The hall exploded into chaos again. Rael drew her weapon and pointed it at the woman. You are under arrest, the woman laughed. By whose authority? By mine, Rael said. Guards moved in, surrounding her. The transport ship drifted, powerless but intact. Elias slumped back, his strength finally gone. Lyra held him as he sank to the floor. You saved them, she whispered. I couldn't leave them, Elias said weakly. They're my people. Rael approached slowly. She looked down at Elias, her expression unreadable. You have crossed a line, she said. There is no return now. Elias looked up at her. Good. Rael was silent for a long moment. Then she did something no one expected. She lowered her weapon. The council is dissolved, Rael said loudly. Effective immediately. Gasps filled the hall. We cannot survive divided, she continued. And we cannot claim what refuses to be owned. She looked at Elias. You will not be a prisoner, you will not be a prize. Elias felt tears sting his eyes. Then what will I be? Rael answered, her voice firm. A partner or an enemy, the choice is yours. Elias took a deep breath. Then my first demand is simple. Rael raised an eyebrow. Speak. We protect the humans, Elias said, all of them, and we stop taking anyone by force. The hall waited. Rael nodded slowly. Agreed. The words felt unreal. Outside the window, distant stars burned quietly. The enemy fleet was gone for now. But Elias knew this was not the end. He had saved lives. He had broken old rules. He had made powerful enemies. And somewhere in the shadows of space, others were watching. The war was no longer about survival alone. It was about the future. And Elias was standing at its center. The vessel moved through space in quiet motion, its damaged systems slowly healing. The chaos of battle had faded, but the weight of what had happened remained heavy in every corridor. Elias stood alone near the wide viewing window. Stars passed like silent witnesses. Somewhere behind him, life on the ship continued, but he felt apart from it, as if standing between two worlds that no longer fit him. Footsteps approached. Lyra stopped a short distance away. She did not speak at first. You should be resting, she finally said. Elias shook his head. If I close my eyes, I'll see cryopods drifting in space. They are safe, Lyra said. Guarded, no one will touch them. For now, Elias replied. Lyra stepped beside him and looked out at the stars. You changed everything. I didn't mean to, Elias said. I just didn't want anyone else taken the way I was. Lyra nodded slowly. That alone makes you different from most leaders. Elias smiled faintly. I don't want to be a leader. Too late, she said gently. The silence between them was broken by a low tone that echoed through the vessel. Central Chamber Assembly requested, the mechanical voice announced. All primary representatives to attend. Elias closed his eyes briefly. Here it comes. Lyra met his gaze. Whatever happens, you won't face it alone. The central chamber looked different now. The scars of battle remained, but weapons were absent. The alien women stood closer together, no longer divided by rigid lines. Fear still lived in their eyes, but so did curiosity. Commander Rael stood at the center, her posture straight, her expression serious. You are all here, Rael said, because the old order is dead. No one argued. We survived an external threat, she continued. But survival without change is only a delay of extinction. She turned toward Elias. This human forced us to confront that truth. Murmurs spread, but none were hostile. Rael raised her hand. There are those who believe he should be claimed. There are those who believe he should be protected. And there are those who believe he should leave. She paused. He will decide. All eyes turned to Elias. His chest tightened. He stepped forward slowly, feeling the weight of expectation press down on him. I didn't come here to rule, Elias said. I didn't come here to save anyone. He took a breath. I came here because I was taken, and I stayed because I saw people who were afraid of disappearing. The room was silent. You want my future, Elias continued, but I won't trade my freedom for yours. Some faces hardened. Others softened. I won't be owned, he said, and I won't be used. Rael watched him closely. But, Elias said, I also won't abandon you. A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber. I've seen what happens when fear decides everything, Elias said. On my world and on yours, if you want a future, it has to be built together. He looked directly at Rael. No chains, no force, no secret taking of lives. Rael nodded once. And in return, Elias said, we work as equals, humans and your people, we learn. We adapt, we choose. The chamber held its breath. One woman stepped forward. She had been silent until now, her eyes thoughtful. And what of children, she asked. What of survival? Elias met her gaze. Life should begin with consent, not desperation. Some shifted uncomfortably, others nodded. Lyra spoke up, her voice steady. If we repeat the crimes that brought us here, we deserve extinction. The words struck deep. Rael took a long breath. Then hear my decision. She turned to the assembly. There will be no claiming. No forced bonds, no breeding rights, gasps echoed. Any future bonds, Rael continued, will be chosen freely or not at all. She looked at Elias. You will not belong to us. Elias felt a tightness in his chest loosen for the first time. You will be free to leave, Rael said. Or to stay, Elias swallowed. And the humans you took, they will be returned, Rael said, with knowledge, with protection, with choice. Tears filled Elias' eyes. He bowed his head, unable to speak for a moment. The chamber did not erupt in cheers. Instead, something quieter happened. Acceptance. The vessel changed course days later, not toward conquest, not toward control, toward Earth. The journey was tense. Many feared how humans would react. Others feared what humanity might become once it knew it was not alone. Elias spent much of the time speaking with both sides, teaching, listening, arguing, laughing sometimes. He was no longer guarded, he walked freely, yet danger remained. On the final approach, alarms sounded again. Unidentified vessels detected, the voice announced. Rael's jaw tightened. They followed us. The enemy fleet emerged from the darkness once more. Elias stood beside Rael on the bridge. They won't stop, he said. Not unless we show them something new. Rael looked at him. What do you propose? Elias took a breath. We don't fight, we speak. Rael stared at him. They will not listen. They will if the message scares them, Elias said. The communication array powered up. Elias stepped forward. The image of the enemy leaders appeared, cold, calculating. You carry forbidden life, one of them said. Surrender it. Elias met their gaze. No. You are weak, another replied. Divided. Elias smiled slightly. Not anymore. He gestured behind him. The view shifted, showing humans and alien women working side by side, repairing. Teaching, protecting. We chose cooperation, Elias said. Not ownership, not control. The enemy leaders hesitated. You fear chaos, Elias continued. But chaos is how humans survive, and now it's shared. Rael stepped forward. Attack us, she said. And you face not one species, but many. The silence stretched. Finally, the enemy fleet withdrew, not defeated, but warned. The vessel entered Earth's orbit days later. Human ships surrounded it cautiously. Elias stood at the airlock as the doors opened. Fresh air rushed in. The sight of blue oceans and white clouds stole his breath. He stepped onto the platform. Earth had changed, but it was still home. Leaders gathered, questions poured out, fear and wonder mixed together. Elias spoke simply. We are not alone, and we have a choice. Months passed. Contact spread slowly, carefully. Not conquest, not surrender, dialogue. Some aliens chose to leave, some stayed. Some humans joined them among the stars. Elias refused titles. He lived quietly, teaching, building, speaking when needed. Lyra remained close, not as an owner, not as a prize, as a companion. One evening, as the sun set over Earth, Lyra stood beside him on a hill. You could have left, she said. You still could. Elias smiled. I know. And yet, she asked. And yet, he said, this feels like the future, she nodded. Far above them, ships drifted peacefully among the stars. Humanity was no longer prey, no longer alone, and no longer owned by fear. The universe had tried to claim a human. Instead, humanity had claimed its place among the stars.